exciting times today. The overhead storage is going in for the kitchen area, and I think for the bed area and that as well. So it's going to be quite cool to see that. Apparently I'm going to have loads of storage, but I don't think you can ever really have enough storage, so we'll go and see what Louise is doing. Oh, flipped it. Oh, look, I'm getting really good at this camera stuff. Louise? Look at that! Oh. These were painted by me. Just want you all to know that. I do majority of the painting in here, by the way. Just because I'm not always on the camera doesn't mean that I'm not doing stuff, does it, Louise?
No comment.
That's not nice. They look cool, don't they?
Yeah, getting there. Just need painting now. This bit.
Maybe I won't do that bit because I'm quite a messy painter, so this is where all my food stuff's going to go, all my snacks. This is going to be my snack cupboard.
Just one?
Yes!
You don't want both of those for your snacks?
Let's go. Yeah. I don't know what this video is for. I'm just in it.
So, yeah, we're pretty much getting there with the overhead storage. I have filmed us, well, me making them. So I'll probably do the video in two halves because it's quite long. So we'll do one video on like making the basic structure, and then another video on how we've done the doors. Because I think you're going to make a door, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, Emily's going to have a go at making a door. I've part edited it. There are a few focusing issues, but I've left that stuff in because I think it's quite relevant. But yeah, here we go.
Woohoo!
Right, morning. Welcome back. So today we're going to start the very exciting part of the overhead storage. So we're actually going to get to build physically something in here, so that's pretty exciting. Now I've started the ones at the back, so I'll quickly show you what I've done there, and then I'll hopefully going to be able to film all the ones that come along here for the kitchen. Right, so it's just a basic shell at the minute. But what I wanted to do is I didn't want to make them too bulky by building out like a big frame and then encasing that and whatnot. So I've kind of done it a bit like this. So the dividers, the cupboard dividers are kind of going to make up part of the main structure. And I've made these out of, it's called poplar ply. Only because it's extremely lightweight. So this is 15mm and it's strong enough for what we're doing here. And it has good screw retention properties, which is good for how I'm building these because I need to screw to it. The reason it's not cheap, but the reason I've picked such a lightweight ply is because although I can put 3.5 ton in the van, if I can keep it as light as possible, I don't really want to be running it at 3.5 ton every time we're driving it. So yeah, like I said, it's not cheap. I think delivered it come to like 70 odd quid a sheet. So yeah, it's expensive stuff, but it is, if you compare it, I mean, it looks like a bit like birch, but it's much lighter. Not quite as strong as birch, but much lighter. I think if you was going for strength, I'd probably go for birch. Or if you're going for cheapness, I'd go for some of the Asian ply that you can get down the timber merchants. But yeah, we're going for poplar. So what I've done is I've got a batten here that's fixed to the wall. Behind that, if you watch the walls video or the battening video, I can't remember, there's a batten that's actually physically fixed to the main structure of the vehicle, so that screws straight into that, so that's pretty solid. And then round that I'll notch out for my dividers to sit on there, so that'll take some of the weight. Then along the top I put a piece in there and that screws directly onto battens on the angled parts of the van. And then what I've done is I've screwed from the back of this into this, so coming in that way. And something similar on the roof, again, that's attached to the battens, they're attached to the main body of the roof, main structure of the roof, and then I've screwed down into there again. And then I've also bought just some little 90-degree brackets that I could probably double everything. I could add some extra ones there and some extra ones on there if I feel like I need the extra strength. But I think for what we're doing, that's going to be, I mean, it's pretty solid. That's going to be plenty rigid. But yeah, so I'm going to start off now on this end, which is going to be all the kitchen cupboards. So I've already fixed the batten and I've cut a piece to run along there. And now I need to go through the painful task of scribing out the dividers. So I'm going to want something that follows the curvature of the van. Now my problem is every single one is slightly different, so I thought I'd get away with making one and then just copying it, but I've got to do them individually. So I'm going to show you how I've done that now, and then I'll crack on with building out the cupboards for this and show you how it's all constructed and then fitted to the van. Right, so hopefully you can see that. So what I've done is I've got an offcut from left from the other, so I'm going to start with this, and as you can see it's like nowhere near. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm just going to take, I mean I don't know, I can hold it roughly square to what I think is square, and then I'm just going to take off the rough angle just by eye really, just so I can then get it over. So I'll go and take that off, bring it in, see how close I get, then I might need to go and take a bit more off. So I'll keep doing that until I can get it as close as I possibly can, and then I'll be able to scribe out for the top and the walls. Right, so I've gone out and I've took off the angle, brought it back in, and I'm still quite a long way off. So what I've done is I've just took a little bit off there, just to keep getting me that little bit closer, and then I've basically scribed out. You can either get someone to hold it for you, a block of wood, or I'm just going to use like my finger's width against the pencil and then run my finger along the wall true. So I'm just keeping that equal distance from the pencil to whatever you're scribing against, in my case this. So now I'm going to go and take that bit off, and it should get me over a little bit further still. This was an offcut, so if I run out of width, because it's looking quite tight now, then I've got a template then to use one of the I've pre-cut some squares to cut all these dividers out of. So I'll go and give this a go, see if it works. But yeah, if you're not comfortable doing it straight away on, you know, wood, then you can always do it out of cardboard, which is much easier because you can just do it with scissors anyway. It's just well, I'm too lazy to go and find some cardboard, so I'm doing it straight away with this. Well, I don't know if you can see, but I'm pretty close now. It's not perfect, but it's almost there. So this is going to be slightly narrower than what I wanted it, so I'm going to transfer this onto another piece and account for any slight differences that I need to make. And then hopefully that will fit in, and then I'll be able to come off and square it up to where I want it. So bear with me. Right, so I've just used one of those 90-degree angle brackets just to hold it in place. It's pretty close. I am being held out by this cladding here because there is a step, so once I cut off there, that should just push that last little bit over. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the other 1, 2, 3. I want another 3 to go that way. So I'm going to get all those cut, and then I'll worry about squaring this up and getting them straight. Right, so I've cut the rest, and I have cut them back to this distance I want them. I've just got that last one to do, so I'll show you how to work that out. But basically I've just fixed them up there with these 90-degree brackets just to get them roughly where I want them. And then once I'm quite happy with where they are, I'll take the whole thing down as a unit and then put all those screws in from the back. Then I'll be able to put it back up, attach the bottom piece and square them up from the front. But I'll show you how I worked out my levels for there, because it's not just a case of cutting it square. So what I've done is I took a measurement from the floor to where it meets the batten, and then, so in this case like 149ish, and then I have to come out to this one, keeping my tape as square as I can, and then 149ish again. And then what I've done is I've just cut that one just a little bit higher, just so that I get a very slight tilt when I put the base on, because obviously I don't want things rolling forward and falling out of cupboards. Then to get the square that way, let me show you, see if I can show you. obviously it's not, I don't know if it's too short, it's not square, I'm not going to be able to show you with that. But to get those, I literally did it by eye, and then just duplicated it on the others. So for this end one, what I'll do is, now that I've got a straight run, is I'll hold a batten across those, and then that'll give me a pencil mark as to where I need to cut this one so that they all run true. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut that one square, put it back up, and then take the whole thing down as one piece. Right, so basically this is what I need to take off to end up square. I forgot to mention on the other ones I had to notch out, it'd be easier if I just show you actually. I also had to notch out for the batten on the wall, so that also made it a bit more tricky, but that's not too bad because you can just draw around an offcut of batten once you get it roughly where it is and then guide it in. But that one is going to come and sit flush onto the end, so I don't need to notch out for this one. Right, so that's it done. It's not the last one, I've got one more to do for this end, but I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, that's it done. So they all run, I'm quite happy, they all run flush to each other and flush underneath. I've set them up relatively square to this batten, but once I get the base on, I can fiddle around with these and make them square. But one thing I forgot to mention is I need to mark out, I'll need to notch out for the batten. It's going to be affixed to the roof, so I've just got an offcut of what I'm going to use. I'll just hold it up on there roughly where it's going to go, flush with the front. And then when it comes down, I know I need to cut those out. But I do have one more to cut, and that's for here. We're going to have a tower, well not a tower, basically the kitchen, let me turn you around, it'll be easier. Right, so the kitchen will come along about here somewhere, and I'll tile along here. As I come along, I'm going to have a divide there with a, you know, some sort of shelf on it, and then like I've done on this one for the bedroom cupboards, I'll have another one running down here, and then I'll put a faceplate on the front, and that's where we're going to house all like our control panel and gauges for different things. So I need to get this one cut, and I'm hoping it's a carbon copy of that one. And then once I've got that one roughing, then I'll take this down and cut out those notches and screw it all together. Right, so that's it down and off the wall. So that batten has come down, that was up there, I've brought down with it. I've left those little brackets on, so I'm just going to go ahead and screw, so I can now get some long screws, maybe 2 or 3 on each one, from this side, so that when it is back up there, I've got support from here, as well as support from the top, as well as support from there. So I'm going to get those screwed on, and then I'm going to cut out the little notches for the batten that comes along the top, so I'll cut those out. It might be a bit awkward, but I want to leave these where they are because I know they're in roughly in the right place. It's just going to be easier to screw together as one unit. So I'll go ahead and do that, cut the notches out. By the way, for all the cutting on this, I'm just using a jigsaw, just with a fine cut wood blade. This poplar ply is really easy to cut, so yeah, I'll go ahead and get that done. Then once I've got that top batten notched out, I can fix that as well, so I'll screw that, so then I can screw that the same as I've done this from this side. So I'll get all that done, and then I'll put it back up, and then I'll be ready to put the bottom on. Right, that's it all screwed together and back up. I've cut a rough piece for at the end here, just so I can get a decent measure for the bit I'm going to run underneath. So I don't know, I might be able to show you. They do all run in line with each other. So So I don't know if you can kind of see there. So what I'll do now is I'm going to cut the piece for the bottom, and again I'm going to cut that bigger than what I need because this van curves out just a little bit along there, so I'm going to cut it, then I can put it up in position, mark it, and then I can account for that curvature going along there. But they're really light. I mean, I can pick them up with my little finger once they're screwed together as a section like this. So yeah, they weigh next to nothing, so I'm quite happy about that. So I'm going to get that bit cut, then that piece right at the far end, I'll get that cut the same shape as the other one, and then we're pretty much ready to start making doors. So Emily's decided to join us, but probably because it's nearly finished.
I'm here all of the time.
I'm
not. Just behind the scenes.
You're not behind the scenes. You're on the front door. So we've got that bit, the base on. Like I said, I've cut it bigger than what I thought I'd need because I was going to try and account for the curvature here, but we managed to get enough force on it that way to squash this board in a bit, which we've got a tiny gap there, but I don't think it's worth trying to scribe it all out because you're hardly gonna see it. So
that was my brute-like strength there.
You are massively strong.
I know. And very clumsy.
Very clumsy. So I'm just going to run this straight edge along just to give me a rough line of where I want to cut it when it comes out.
So annoying having to take it back out again.
Bottom piece. So yeah, we'll take that down, cut that edge, and then we can screw that back up, and then that's pretty much going to be ready for doors.
Woohoo!
But yeah, we'll get that done, and then we'll have I've got to cut that bit as well, the same as the other one. And this is all right. Right, so Emily's buggered off. It's probably for the best. So that's them in. So all I need to do now is basically I just need to set these square. They're not too bad actually, but they do need slight movement, and then just make sure that they're the same distance from there to there at the same as the bottom. It's just going to make it easier to do this now rather than try and hang the doors awkwardly. So yeah, I'll probably take half an hour squaring all them up, making sure they're all set, and it just makes it easier for when I come to hang the doors. Right, so that's pretty much about as far as I'm going to get today really. I'm just going to go around now and put extra screws in and just secure it up and that, but yeah, that's pretty much it. For anyone that watched the wall video, I did have a little gap between this ply that I've put inside and that, but as you can see now that I've put the cupboards up, that covers that. So and then once we're done, I'll go around all this ply that I've put behind, I'll fill all the gaps, get it all sanded back and neat, and then just give it all just a one top coat of paint. I don't know what colour we're going to paint these yet. They're either going to be white or they'll be brown to match the roof. Can't decide, but yes, that'll do for today. And then when we come back, hopefully I'll have acquired some stuff to make and hang the doors, and then they're done.